Before the lantern, there was darkness, the kind of darkness that hums, deep, ancient, infinite. Long before cities shimmered like constellations reborn on Earth, humans lived beneath the rhythm of the sun. When it fell, the world changed shape, shadows grew teeth. Forests whispered, the stars are, first lanterns burned. Cold and far away, we have always feared the dark, and yet we have always loved it too. It is in the dark that we dream, that we whisper secrets, that we see the faintest flame of imagination. So this is the story of light, not the blinding light of day, but the tender kind we cradle in our hands, the kind that turns fear into warmth, loneliness into company, and night into something almost sacred. This is the story of the lantern. Long before glass or iron, there was the fire. Our ancestors gathered around it, circles of warmth in the wilderness, faces flickering like ghosts of their own thoughts. Fire was never just heat, it was safety, it was community. And in the dark, it became time itself, the clock that measured the passing of stories. When the fire dimmed, the night deepened. When the embers glowed, so did hope. The first lamps were born from this fire. Seashells, hollowed stones, clay bowls filled with animal fat, a simple wick twisted from plant fiber. They burned unevenly, sputtering and smoking, but they gave the night a name. Somewhere in Mesopotamia, around 4,000 years ago, a potter pressed his thumb into wet clay, forming a small spout for oil. A tiny act, barely a gesture, but that gesture shaped every night that followed. From that, clay lamp grew a lineage, oil lamps of Greece, alabaster lamps of Egypt, bronze lamps carried by Roman hands through marble holes in tavern alleys. Light became art, and art became prayer. Temples burned oil before their gods. Philosophers wrote by its flicker. Lovers hid their faces in its dim glow. And still, night remained vast, a realm of mystery, of danger, of dreams unlit. The lantern, as we know it, was not born in one place, but in many. It was invention braided with poetry. In China, around 230 BCE, bamboo frames were covered with silk or paper, their bellies holding small flames that glowed like captured moons. They floated in festivals, guiding spirits and prayers into the sky. A lantern there was more than utility. It was memory of ancestors, of longing, of the belief that even in the dark, something within us must shine. In Japan, the stone tiara marked temple paths, their fires dancing within carved shelters. The flame was never just light. It was presence, the quiet acknowledgement of what endures. Across deserts, travelers hung metal lanterns from their camels, their thin glass panes trembling with each step. In Europe, ironsmiths built sturdy frames, encasing candles to withstand the wind. Wherever humans went, they carried light, and in return light carried them. By the Middle Ages, lanterns had become companions of both devotion and danger. Imagine a monastery in the 12th century. The corridors damp, the air thick with incense. A monk carries a small iron lantern, its flame haloed in smoke. He walks slowly, whispering psalms that echo against the stone. Each step is illuminated, barely, yet it is enough. Lanterns lit pilgrimages and prison cells alike. They guided the righteous and the lost. In towns, watchmen patrolled with handheld lanterns, their glow reflecting on cobblestones slick with rain. All's well, they would call, though the night often said otherwise. To walk with a lantern was to declare yourself visible, a fragile defiance of the dark. But to leave one burning in a window was something else entirely. It meant waiting for a traveler, for a child, for hope. A lantern in the window was the earliest form of a text message, sent across distance and silence. I'm here. Come home. When ships began to cross oceans, lanterns became beacons of survival. On storm-tossed decks, they were nailed to masts and rails, their light swallowed by waves yet refusing to die. Each one was a star brought down to sea level, a promise that humans would not go gently into the void. In lighthouses, giant lanterns grew lenses of glass, mirrors of silver, burning whale oil through long and lonely nights. They called two sailors, whispering, "Land, safety, rest." The age of exploration was not only about new worlds, but new ways of seeing the world at night. And light, once sacred and scarce, began to spread like rumor, like wildfire. Then came the cities. And with them, the revolution of gaslight. London, 1807. The first public streetlights flare open along Pall Mall, small globes on iron posts, glowing against the fog. Crowds gather faces, half amazed. For the first time, night is no longer sovereign. The poet Thomas Carlyle would later write that gaslight turned darkness into a new species of day. And yet, not everyone rejoiced. To some, the endless light felt unnatural. An invasion. The shadows that once held mystery now held only the hum of industry. Still, progress marched on. Paris followed, then Berlin, New York, Tokyo. The night, once private and contemplative, became public and alive. The streets sang with footsteps and commerce. Light became a currency of civilization, a symbol of power, of order, of modernity. The lantern, once the humble guardian of one's path, was now a spectacle. It moved from hand to lamppost, from personal to collective. Electricity arrived like thunder. Suddenly, night could be switched off. In 1879, Thomas Edison perfected his incandescent bulb, a filament burning within glass, powered not by oil or flame, but by the unseen force of current. It was the final metamorphosis of the lantern, from living fire to silent energy. The first electrified streets looked like magic. Gaslight flickered and died, replaced by a cold, steady glow that did not waver with the wind. The night, once a realm of imagination, became transparent, and with that humanity crossed a threshold. We could now stay awake indefinitely. Factories roared through midnight. Shops remained open. Writers wrote longer. Lovers lingered longer. And dreams became something you could delay, but something quiet was lost. The rhythm of rest, the heartbeat of darkness, that once reminded us to stop, to breathe, to sleep. By the 20th century, light had become so abundant that we began to forget the stars. The lantern, once carried by travelers and monks, was now a novelty, a decoration. Cities pulsed with neon signs, electric poetry spelling promises into the night. Eat here, dream here, buy here. In New York, in Tokyo, in Shanghai, the skyline itself became a lantern, a shimmering map of ambition. And yet, amid the noise, people began to yearn again for quiet light. The candle on a bedside table, the lantern on a campsite, the firefly in a jar. We surrounded ourselves with brilliance, but found ourselves longing for gentleness. It turns out, too much light blinds, just as surely as too little. Today, when we hold a lantern, whether a paper one on a summer night or a small lead in a storm, we are repeating an ancient ritual. We are, in our own way, saying, "I will not be swallowed by the dark." But light is more than a tool. It's a metaphor we have carried for millennia. Philosophers speak of enlightenment, as if to know is to burn. Religions speak of divine light, as if the soul itself were a candle. Even language betrays the connection. We say, "I see," when we mean "I understand." The lantern, then, is not merely an artifact. It is a mirror of ourselves. It reminds us that knowledge can warm or destroy, that progress can both reveal and erase. For every flame we have ever lit, we have also cast a shadow. There is a paradox at the heart of light. The brighter our nights became, the darker our skies grew. Astronomers now call it light pollution, a kind of forgetting. We built so many lanterns that we can no longer see the ones that were always there. The constellations that guided our ancestors, the faint glow of galaxies that remind us how small we are. So around the world, a quiet movement began. Dark sky reserves. Parks and towns that choose, deliberately, to dim their lights. to restore what we once had. The luxury of darkness. In these places, you can stand and see the Milky Way again, rippling like a lantern lit from within the universe itself. People gather, looking up, and for a moment, the world feels ancient again. We have come full circle, from fearing the dark, to conquering it, to missing Italiano. And perhaps that is the truest turning point of all. Not the invention of light, but the rediscovery of balance. What can a small flame teach a species that now bends light to its will? First, that light is precious because it dies. The lantern's beauty comes not from its brightness, but from its fragility. It flickers, and in that flicker, we are reminded that everything does. Second, that light without darkness is meaningless. We need contrast to see, just as we need stillness to feel. The night teaches us humility, that we do not own the world. We borrow it for a few bright hours. Third, that every light carries responsibility. A lantern can guide or burn. It can reveal or blind. It depends on how we hold it. Across cultures, lanterns have always symbolized guidance. The Buddha's enlightenment, Diwali's victory of light over ignorance, the Medadam festival's reunion of hearts. They remind us that illumination is not about conquering the dark, but understanding it. Think of the lights you have known, the bedside lamp of your childhood, casting shapes on the wall, the flashlight under blankets, where you read stories you weren't supposed to, the candle at a dinner table, the lantern at a vigil, the sparkler in a summer night. Each one holds something, a memory, a moment, a name. Each one says, I was here. You were here. We shared this glow. Light is how we mark time, how we anchor our fleeting lives in something visible. We photograph sunsets, not because they are rare, but because they end. Every flame you've ever seen is older than you think. The photons that reach your eyes travel faster than any thought you'll ever have. When you light a candle, you are engaging in a quiet act of cosmic defiance. You are telling the universe, yes, I am small, but I can shine too. In this way, the lantern is both history and prophecy. It remembers the campfires of the past and anticipates the stars we will one day carry with us to other worlds. Even now, astronauts orbit Earth with small panels that turn sunlight into power. The ultimate lanterns, adrift in the void. And so, in our age of LED screens and endless illumination, people are returning to the lantern again, not out of necessity, but out of longing. We buy candles scented like forests and oceans. We hang fairy lights on balconies. We gather around bonfires and glow lamps and camp lanterns, chasing the warmth of simplicity. There is something ancient in the way flame moves, unpredictable, alive. Electric light is obedient. Firelight dances. In its movement, we find something deeply human. Impermanence, spontaneity, grace. To watch a lantern burn is to remember that even the smallest light is a living thing. Perhaps the most beautiful gesture humanity has ever invented is the act of releasing light. In Thailand, the sky fills each year with paper lanterns drifting upward, like stars learning to breathe. In Japan, during Toronagashi, families send floating lanterns down rivers to guide the spirits of their ancestors home. In Vietnam, during Tit Trung Thursday, children parade through the streets with lanterns shaped like fish and butterflies, symbols of joy, rebirth, and imagination. Each festival is a dialogue between the living and the departed, between light and shadow, between what was and what will be. The lantern becomes a messenger, carrying our wishes into the night, and though it burns out, the act remains luminous, eternal. So Araway Are, in an age where night is never truly dark. And yet, somewhere deep inside us, the lantern still burns. It burns when you open a book after midnight, when you light a candle for someone you miss, when you stay up talking softly, long after the world has gone quiet. The lantern reminds us that light was never meant to erase the dark, only to accompany it. The two have always been companions, not enemies. Perhaps the lesson is simple. That to live fully is to glow softly, to carry your own light gently through the world without setting it ablaze. Every life, no matter how brief, is a lantern. And when we go, the glow we leave behind, in memory, in kindness, in love, becomes the light that guides another. So tonight, as you drift to sleep, imagine a single flame, steady, breathing, alive. It hums softly in the quiet of your room. It has traveled across millennia, from the first campfire to your bedside. You watch it flicker, and somewhere in that flicker is every story humanity has ever told to make the night a little less lonely.